All right, so before we start today's class, we'll do a quick review of what we did in our last class. So we're in the first chapter, observing the armies on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And we're in the first subsection of the chapter. We've done the first, the Dhritarashtra inquiry to Sanjaya. Then second to 11th verses, Duryodhana's fear and diplomacy. We've done that. 12th to 20th. We also did in our last class, blowing of the conch shells. And then we saw how there were signs of victory for the Pandavas. And today we'll start with the second subsection, which is Arjun observes the armies. So in our last class, we saw how Bhishma Dev blew his conch shell very loudly. He interrupted the conversation of Duryodhan. He was talking to Dronacharya, and how Bhishma Dev suddenly blew his conch shell. And then verse number 13, after that, conch shells, drums, bugles, trumpets, and horns were all suddenly sounded, and the combined sound was tumultuous. 14th verse, Lord Krishna's grand entry in the Bhagavad Gita. And we saw how Krishna and Arjuna both blew their transcendental conch shells. All right. And there were signs of victory, blowing of the conch shells on the side of the Pandavas. And then we saw how there were names of the conch shells for all the Pandavas: Panchajanya, Devadatta, Ananta Vijaya, then Pondra, Sughosha, and Manipushpaka. Blowing became uproarious, shattering the hearts of the sons of Dhritarashtra, another sign of victory for the Pandavas. Then we saw the story of Akshay Patra. No matter how your enemies gather against you, if Krishna is on your side, you have nothing to fear. Courage is not necessarily the absence of fear. It is the awareness of the presence that dwarfs fear. And we took the example of how, for example, a person is walking down the street and there is a thief right in front of him. And the person would be fearful because the thief has a dagger, a knife with him, but just behind the thief, there is a cop who has his gun pointed at the thief. So suddenly the circumstances haven't changed. You are there, the thief is there, he has the dagger with him, trying to, rob you, but the situation is the same. But your consciousness has now changed. How? Because there is somebody right behind him to protect. Krishna is there. So you get the courage. So although the courage is not necessarily the absence of fear, fear might there be a little bit, but the awareness of the presence of Krishna, it dwarfs all fear. It makes it go down, and you become, when we take shelter of Krishna, we become fearless in that situation. And then verse number 120, we saw how Arjun was ready to fight. He looked at the Kuru's army and he spoke to Lord Krishna. We'll see what he speaks in today's class. But let's do a little kind of a small quiz. Arjun, you can unmute if you want to answer. Arjun's flag on the chariot has emblem of
Hanuman.
Hanuman, and which is called in Sanskrit, we saw the word Kapidvaja. Also, Lord Krishna is personally present as blank to direct his senses.
Lord Ram.
Rishikesha.
Rishikesha. Perfect. Thank you. These were the signs of victory for the Pandavas. Also, this was the second question. The question was to state or list the signs of victory. You see over here, the answer is right here, 9 points that you just have to state. We don't have to explain because the question does not say describe the sign, just says list or state the signs. That's the answer over here, 9 points. All right, so today's class will begin 21st verse. Arjun requests the infallible Lord to draw his chariot in the middle of the battle. It's 21.21. And we'll recite it together. 21 and 22. Arjuna Uvacha Senayorupayurmadhe Ratham Sthapaya Mechuta Yavadeta Niriksheham Yodukaman Avasthitan Kairmaya Saha Yodhavyam Asmin Rana Samudyame. Somebody can quickly unmute and read the translation.
Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms.
Give me 1 second because I'm not able to hear it properly.
All right. So Arjuna said, O infallible one, please draw my chariot in the middle of the battlefield between the two armies so that I may see those present here who desire to fight and with whom I must contend in this great trial of arms. So all right, so we see how this particular verse is a little different than the previous ones. Here we see instead of 4 lines, there are 6 lines, right? So how are the lines or the verses differentiated? Because there is a continuity of thought. That's why there's an increase of 2 lines. So always remember, if there are 2 more lines added, that's because there is a continuity of thought. So Arjuna is saying, Senayor Ubhayor Madhya. Madhya is in the middle. Senayor is the Sena or the armies. Please bring my chariot in the middle of the armies, the 2 armies. And the chariot is mentioned in the 2nd line. Ratham Sthapaya Mechuta. And Krishna is addressed with the name Achyuta. We'll look at the meaning of Achyuta also. So please, Ratham Sthapaya Mechuta. Please bring my or station my chariot in the middle of the battlefield in between the 2 armies. Yavadeta Niriksheham. I want to do Nirikshan. I want to see. What do I want to see? Yodhu Kaman Avasthitam. Those who are present here with the desire to fight. Kairmaya Saha Yodhavyam Asmin Rana Samudhyame. So with whom I have to fight, and I want to see that in this battlefield. Rana Samudhyame, I want to see. So Arjun knows who all have come to fight. Why is he asking? I want to see who all have come to fight, right? When there is a war, just before the war, both the parties know who are they also have spies and they have allegiances. They have their friends who have come to fight along with them. And both the parties know which are the allegiances for the other army, other side of the battlefield. So Arjun knew all of this, but still he said, I want to see. And what does he want to see? He wanted to see, actually, there are 3 or 4 things we'll discuss over here. He wanted to see not the people present, but their mentality. How inimical are they towards us? He wanted to see their attitudes. He wanted to see their disposition, and he wanted to estimate their strength. So these are the reasons why Arjun is asking Krishna, and he's calling Krishna by the name of Achyuta. And Achyuta, let's understand what Achyuta means. Achyuta means the Lord who never fails in his affection for his devotees, and the one who never fails in keeping his promise. So these 2 things. He never fails in his affection for his devotees and takes pleasure in serving them. Over here, he is the one who is the master of senses, right? We saw that word Rishikesha before. And he's the master of senses, he's the master of the mind. But right now, he is controlled by his devotees' words. And still, he's taking pleasure in serving his own devotee, but his supreme position as the absolute truth, as the supreme Lord, will never change. It will never be compromised. So sometimes the Lord may have to do something out of pleasure or affection for his devotees, but we should understand his position is never compromised. So this is what it is. Achyuta is the one who never fails in his affection for his devotees, who never fails in keeping his promise. So Prabhupada says in the purport, although Lord Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, out of his causeless mercy, he was engaged in the service of his friend, who never fails in his affection for his devotees, and thus he is addressed as infallible or Achyuta. So same thing, some notes over here, which you can see later. We've just discussed these. And we discussed this also, what Prabhupada says. What is raga? Out of genuine attraction to the Lord. The real platform of religion is where one worships God only out of love for him. Such a devotee does not consider God to be an order supplier. Rather, he offers everything he has to God out of unmotivated and uninterrupted love. The ultimate goal of any true religion is to achieve pure love of God. And this is the ascending order to love of God. So there are 4 platforms of worship, ascending to the ultimate religion of pure love of God. One is when people pray out of fear of punishment. If I don't do this for the Lord today, I have been worshiping the Lord in this particular way, but if I don't do it in this order, in this particular way, or I forget to pray to him today, what will happen to me? There'll be some inauspicious situation which might stand for me, or there might be some punishment that I will have to go through. So that is the lowest category when we pray or worship to the Lord out of fear. The next, which is a little higher, is the desire. So desire for material benefits. Let me pray to the Lord, and in return, the Lord will be happy with me and will bestow some material benedictions upon me. Then out above that is out of duty, praying out of gratitude. Oh Lord, you've given me so much. I want to thank you in gratitude. So that's how people pray. That's a little higher than desire, but the highest is out of love. When there is nothing the person, the devotee desires or expects from the Lord. It's not a business. It is not out of fear, but truly and purely out of love. The Krishna Bhaktas desire nothing but loving devotional service to the Supreme Lord. They value the loving exchange and service opportunity for their Supreme Beloved Lord, and thus their life and soul. So we'll keep going. 23rd verse. Arjun wants to see who all have come to fight, wishing to please Duryodhana. Let's recite the verse. Yotsamanam aviksheham yaete atra samagataha dhartarashtrasya durbuddher yuddhe priya chikirshavaha. If somebody can quickly unmute and read the translation.
Let me see those who have come here to fight, wishing to please this evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So, Yotsamanam Aviksheham. Aviksheham, I want to see. Very important word. Arjun wanted to see. And Yotsamanam is those who will be fighting on this battlefield. Ya ete atra samagata. The ones who have assembled over here. Those who have assembled. Dhatra Rashtrasya, meaning son of Dhritarashtra. And who is he? Which is Duryodhan, and he is Durbuddher. He is, Prabhupada translates Durbuddher as evil-minded, the one who's evil-minded. And then he says, Yuddhe Priya Chikirshava. He is the people who have assembled here to please the son of Dhritarashtra, who is evil-minded, to please him and wishing his victory. Who are these people? So this Duryodhan is so evil-minded. I'm seeing over here so many people have assembled to take side with this evil-minded person. So that means all of them are also evil-minded. How come such a big army has assembled to please this evil-minded Duryodhan? This is what Arjun says, I want to see. So these people who are desiring his success, Yuddhe Priya Chikirshava. So although Arjun has no desire to fight, we all know this, he didn't want to fight. He knew all these are my cousins, my friends, and because, why? Because he's a pure devotee. He has a soft heart. We'll look at Arjun's qualifications also. But he was forced by the obstinacy of Duryodhan because he was not ready to compromise. We all know this. He was never agreeable to carry any peaceful negotiations. So let's keep going. The camera will now focus. It will zoom out and will come to Sanjay again, and Sanjay will speak this word. So you can look at the notes. We've been discussing all this. Prabhupada says, it was also a fact that he, Arjuna, wanted to see them, Kauravas, to make an estimate of the strength which he had to face. Although he was quite confident of victory because Krishna was sitting by his side. So we also understood this point, how he wanted to make an estimate of the strength of his enemies. 1.24. Lord Krishna draws the chariot in the middle of the armies. So Krishna is obeying the orders of his devotee without any hesitation. 1.24. And Sanjay is relating this. Sanjay uvacha eva mukto hrishikesho gudakeshena bharata senayorubhayor madhye sthapayitva rathottamam. Somebody can translate.
Sanjay said, O descendant of Bharat, being thus addressed by Arjun, Lord Krishna drew up the fine chariot in the midst of the armies of both parties.
So, evam ukto rishikesho. So, thus, speaking like this, evam ukva, or addressed like this, Rishikesha and Gudakesha. So, again, Krishna is addressed as Rishikesha and Arjun is addressed as Gudakesha. We'll look at the meaning of Gudakesha. Bharata, and Bharata is addressed for Arjuna, who is the finest amongst all the Bharatas. Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, same wordings what Arjun had requested. Krishna, Senayor Ubhayor Madhye, in the middle of the two armies. Sthapayitva Rathottamam, that chariot which was supreme amongst all the other chariots, is now taken in between the two armies by Krishna. So let's see what Gudakesha means. So Arjun as Gudakesha. So Gudak means sleep, and sleep also means ignorance. So Gudakesha means the one who has conquered sleep and ignorance both. So Arjun has conquered sleep and ignorance because of his friendship with Krishna. This is what Prabhupada says in the purport. And nature of a devotee cannot forget Krishna even for a moment. A devotee conquers sleep and ignorance because of constant Krishna consciousness. This is called samadhi. I remember one of the lectures that I was hearing to a long time back by Indradimna Maharaj, and he was talking about how he wanted to see what Prabhupada is doing in the middle of the night. And he climbed up on his roof there was a little, kind of opening where somebody could, like little bits, small hole kind of where he could see what Prabhupada is doing in the middle of the night, but late in the night. He climbed up the roof very courageously and he was peeping down. And he saw Prabhupada lying on his bed with closed eyes, but he was chanting. Constantly, he was chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. And now, without opening his eyes, he said, okay, enough, now go back. He told Indradyumna Maharaj, okay, enough of seeing or looking at me, now go back, without even opening his eyes. And Indradyumna Maharaj said, I was almost going to fall. And he came down. So this is what, see, when a pure devotee speaks or speaks his realizations, he's experiencing all of these. So that's why the purports, when we read Prabhupada's purports, they are so potent and they're filled with his own realizations. He's saying a devotee the nature of a devotee is he cannot forget Krishna even for a moment. A devotee conquers his sleep and ignorance because of constant Krishna consciousness. This is called samadhi. And Krishna as Rishikesha, as director of the mind and senses, he could understand Arjun's purpose in placing the chariot in the middle of the armies and his hesitation to fight. So because he's the master of senses and mind, he knows Arjun's purpose, why he's asking him to place the chariot in the middle, and he knows that there'll be a hesitation to fight. Actually, Krishna is the one who's going to put Arjun into illusion so that he can instruct him, and through Arjun, he can instruct all of us. So when we're going to see how the symptoms that Arjun will have on his body when he goes through this experience of looking at his relatives who are ready to fight against him. And in that situation, what does he feel? His experience, his emotional, his bodily experiences, we're going to see all of that today. So Krishna, as is Rishikesha, is also Bhakta Vatsal. Although master of senses, is controlled by the prema of his devotees. So although he's the master of senses, what is Arjun? Who's a devotee? He's asking Krishna, you take my chariot in the middle of the battlefield, and he's following his devotees' instructions, which shows his Bhakta Vatsalta. He's Bhakta Vatsal because that word is given because he keeps his devotees in his heart. Bhakshasthal, we know that is the place near the heart or in the heart or on the chest, you can say, right? Literally meaning. But he keeps his devotees in his heart. Whatever the devotees are desiring, he is so happy to fulfill all of that every time. And Gudakesha also means Guda also means jaggery. So one who gives pleasure or sweetness to who? Brahma, who's Ka, and Esha is Shiva. So Gudakesha means Arjun who gives them experience of sweetness of Lord's affection, just as sugar or Guda gives experience of sweetness. So by bringing Krishna under the control, it gave pleasure to Brahma and Shiva, seeing the opportunity to experience Krishna's sweetness. So Shiva and Brahma, who are devatas, they're seeing how Krishna is coming under he's following the instructions of his own devotee. So that sweet exchange when Lord Shiva and Brahma see, that brings them sweetness. So that is also another name why Arjuna is called Gudakesha. So we'll keep going. 1.25. Lord places the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona. So in the middle of the battlefield is what Arjuna had asked Krishna or requested Krishna, please place my chariot in the middle. But he didn't say where to place it. He just said in the middle. Where, meaning in front of whom exactly. He didn't mention all this. But Krishna places the chariot in front of Bhishma and Drona especially. Krishna forces Arjuna to see both his grandfather and his guru, who were determined to oppose him in the battle and to draw out Arjun's familial attachment and thus reveal his weakness of heart. Krishna does this so that he can speak the Bhagavad Gita. So he brought Arjun's chariot right in the middle of his own grandfather and his dear teacher to show him, look at them, they are ready to fight against you and kill you. So seeing this, how Arjun gets bewildered, we're going to see in the subsequent verses. So let's see 1.25. भीमद्रोणा प्रमुखता सर्वेषां च महिषिताम् उवाच पार्थ पश्येतान् समवेतान् कुरुनिति. Somebody kindly read
In
translation.
the presence of Bhishma, Drona, and all the other chieftains of the world, the Lord said, just behold, Partha, all the Kurus assembled here.
Perfect. So Krishna is speaking for the first time in the Bhagavad Gita, but just a few words. Just behold, O Partha, all the Kurus assembled here. So again, first time Krishna is speaking. Let's see. In spiritual education, first thing that is taught is eyes are the way to illusion. As our eyes don't show us the soul. The ears are the way to come out of illusion, and it enables us to see beyond illusion. So two words we're going to understand over here, which is one is pratyaksha and one is shabda. Pratyaksha is what we experience through our senses, through our eyes, through our ears, right? We take in knowledge. And this is how we deduce, okay, this is what I'm seeing or hearing or feeling. So all these sensory feelings or sensory emotions that we get, there is some knowledge that we're putting in our mind. All that is pratyaksha praman. Praman is proof. So sensory proof of the things around us or experiences around us. But Shabda Praman is the words that we understand from the scriptures. That is proof from the scriptures about the reality. So here it says, for example, a very crude, a simple example, somebody sleeping, right? Sleeping in a deep sleep. And you want to wake that person up. So you turn on the light. Probability is the person will not get up, because the person is in a deep sleep. But if you call out, right? Call out loudly, the person will surely wake up. So sensory perceptions where the ears are used to listen to the scriptures or understand the scriptures. So three things: Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. Guru, our spiritual master. Sadhu are the senior devotees, and or the devotees who are purely trying to be on the path of or following the Shastras, those devotees. And then the third is the Shastra itself. So Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. These are the three most valid or bona fide things where we can take the real proof of what is the situation or experience that we're facing in this world, or challenges that we're facing in this world. So here, Arjun wanted to see with his own eyes. Just give me 1 second. I'm getting a call from the temple. Just give me 1 second. I'll be back. All right, I'm so sorry. I had to take a little break here. It was a call from the temple, which was important. I had to take. Sorry about that. Okay, so where were we? Yeah, so there's one which is Pratyaksha Praman, which is proofs or experiences or the knowledge that we intake with our senses. That's Pratyaksha, and then there is Shabda. So Pratyaksha is material because this is a material body, and Shabda is transcendental. It's beyond this material world. So first, Lord Krishna is saying, Pashetan, look, please see Arjuna. But here Arjuna will only get more illusioned by seeing, even though he was personally accompanied by Krishna. So he's seeing himself with his eyes, Arjuna, right? And Krishna is saying, look, Pashetan. But he'll be more illusioned. So through our eyes, we feel that pleasures are real and available. And Krishna, since we cannot see him, he's remote and he's irrelevant. So this is when we are in illusion. This is what is going to happen to Arjuna. He, by seeing through his own eyes, his own relatives standing there, present to kill him, right, to fight with him, he will get illusioned, although Krishna is right there with him. He will still get illusioned and bewildered, right? But later, Arjun will come out of this illusion by hearing the wisdom of Bhagavad Gita, which is the Shabda Praman. And this shows the supremacy of Shabda over Pratyaksha. That which can be seen by the eyes, which is Pratyaksha, and that which are the words of God, or Shastra, which is Shabda. So we will see that Maya comes through the eyes and Krishna comes through the ears in a general sense. Let's keep going. So this is the power of illusion. What we see in this world actually is not like that. 99.9% of the time. We feel that there is enjoyment in this world. We feel that we put in our energies in this world trying to enjoy with our senses, but actually the picture is completely different and we get bewildered and we get illusioned. So this word Achyuta, we know there are so many pastimes of Krishna where he shows his readiness to serve his devotees. He shows that how he never fails in his affection for his devotees. And these are so many pictures, I could gather a few where Krishna is showing so much affection to his pure devotees. We see how he carries his own father's shoes whenever he sees his father has come back or going to work, he wants to serve his own devotees. And one such story is Sati Sakubai. So when we have our regular Bhagavad Gita classes, we get into the stories and we talk about and discuss them. But since this is a Bhakti Shastri class, some of us, most of us know all these stories and pastimes already. So just touch upon how in this pastime, Sati Sakubai, who was a wonderful, pure devotee of Krishna, when she was married, she had to do so much work at home and she was always made to do things. She never had freedom, but in her mind, she was always, in her heart, always absorbed in the thoughts of Krishna. And one time she heard that some pilgrimages, people were going to this dham and she wanted to go too. But she was tied by her own mother-in-law that you're not going anywhere. So what does Krishna do? He comes in the form of her own husband and he unties her. He says, I'll be here, I'll take care, you go. And when she goes, then he takes the form of Sakubai, her form. And he does all the work at home, all the chores that her mother-in-law is saying, do this, do this. He does it in her, taking her form. So such a blessed Lord who's to serve his own devotees. He's always ready to serve his own devotees because there's so much love and affection. And then we see how, she goes to the dham and there she's taking darshan of the deity and she faints first and she leaves her body, she dies. And when Krishna has come taking the form of Sakubai in her house, he had told the goddess of fortune, his own wife, that I'll be back. When Sakubai comes back, I'll be back also. But then the story has completely changed. Pastime changes because she leaves her body. She's dead now. How can he leave? Because, he has taken her form and he's in her house. But then what does Goddess of Fortune do? She goes to Sakubai, her body, and she revives her. She puts the soul back, and then Sakubai comes back. And when she comes back, there is a whole scene. How come there are two Sakubais? And then they realize one is Krishna. So, this is how the story progresses. Beautiful story depicting how Lord is Achyuta. He never fails in his affection. He never fails in the opportunity to serve his own devotee. And we'll exit over here and we'll come to the second slideshow, and we'll continue with the verses from verse number 26. Okay, so from 1 to 25, you can broadly divide this chapter into two. One is Sainya Nirikshan, which is from verse number 1 to 25, where Duryodhan looks at the battlefield and looks at the opposite side, his own side. There is a observation of who all have come to fight, and he takes names also. And then Arjun's Vishad Yog, when he sees the armies present against him, he gets into Vishad, or he gets into a state of lamentation. And how it connects that state where he is lamenting to Krishna. That's why it's called Yog. Whenever you see the word Yog or Yoga, that means connection. So connection with who? Supreme Lord Krishna. So in his lamentation, how Arjun connected with Krishna. That's why it is Arjun Vishad Yog. And that is from 26th verse to the end of the chapter. So let's continue with the verses. Verse 1.26, Arjun sees all the relatives assembled on both the sides. Again, there are 6 lines here. Tatra pashyat stitan partha pitrinatha pitamahan acharyan matulan bhatrin putran pautran sakhim stata shvasuran sahridaschaiva senayor ubayorapi. Can someone please translate quickly?
There, Arjuna could see, within the midst of the armies of both parties, his father's grandfather's teachers, maternal uncles, brothers, sons, grandsons, friends, and also his fathers-in-law and well-wishers.
Perfect. So many grades of people, relatives he's seeing, and let's look at all of them here. Arjun could see the wide variety of relatives and friends. Pitamaha is grandfather, Pitrin is fathers, Matulan is maternal uncles, Potran is grandsons, and Putran are sons. So, Pitamaha, which is grandfathers, is Bhishma and Somadatta. Pitrin is fathers contemporaries. Bhurishrava, because his own father, Pandu, is no longer there, but contemporaries are there who are at the age of his father. So Bhurishrava, Acharyan are teachers, which are Drona and Kripacharya. Matulan, maternal uncles, Shalya and Shakuni, and Shwasuran, which are fathers-in-law, and one of them is Drupad. Then there is same generation, his own age group, which are Bhratrin, which are the brothers, Duryodhan and his 99 others, actually 98 others, because one of them went to the side of Pandavas to fight with them. Then Sakhims, which are friends, and Ashwatthama is one of them. Suhridas, which is well-wishers, which is Kritvarma. These are some examples that we've put down. Potran, which are sons, 5 sons of Draupadi. Then there is Abhimanyu, which is Arjuna and Subhadra's son. Then there's Lakshmana, which is Duryodhan's son. Then there is Potran, which are grandsons. Even Lakshmana had sons by that time when the battle was going on. So all these grades of people who are present to fight in the battle, Arjun can see all of them.
Let's keep going. 1.27. Arjun, seeing the relatives, becomes overwhelmed with compassion. So 127. Tan samiksha sakonteyaha sarvan bandhun avastitan kripaya parayavishto visidan idam abravit. Vishidan idam abravit.
When the son of Kunti, Arjuna, saw all these different grades of friends and relatives, he became overwhelmed with compassion and spoke thus.
So let's look at the Sanskrit here. Parayavishto. Kripaya parayavishto. So kripaya is compassion and parayavishto is very great or very high grade of compassion. So when Arjun sees all these grades of people, relatives assembled, he gets into this mode of compassion, seeing them. And this kind of compassion, which is really, really high. Paraya Vishto. So para is beyond this world or transcendental, but paraya is of high grade, which is material compassion. So that's why it's paraya Vishta. So of high grade. And that's why avishta, which is overwhelmed. Avishta is he becomes overwhelmed. When there is para or transcendental, a person does not get illusioned or overwhelmed. But here, because it is material, that's why Arjuna is getting overwhelmed, which is avishta. So when compassion came over him, it made him vishidan. Vishidan is lament. It made him lament. So idam abravit, and he spoke thus. Who spoke? Arjun. So seeing his relatives present on the battlefield, he became overwhelmed with compassion and lamentation, and he spoke thus. Idam abravit. Vishidan idam abravit. Being lamentful, he spoke thus. So we see how perception shapes our emotions. So just by seeing, and there is a perception, then his emotions are getting shaped. And we'll see how they're getting shaped by what Arjuna is going to speak. So for the first time, Arjuna is going to speak at length. Many, many verses he's going to speak. Almost towards the end of the chapter, till 46th verse, Arjuna is speaking, he's expressing what he's feeling. The first person express, right? I am feeling this, I am going through this. So that's what he's gonna speak. So this is what it is. Kaunteya is son of Kunti. That's how Arjuna is addressed here. And he's overwhelmed with great compassion. We just spoke about this. So this is Lord's desire. He is putting Arjuna under illusion. Arjuna is a pure devotee. He can never be in illusion, but Krishna, desiring to deliver the universe through instructions to his dear devotee, dear associate, he puts Arjuna under illusion. So let's look at this. Arjuna wanted to see the armies. His mindset was to kill them all in the beginning, because it's said that he picked up his Gandiva bow to fight. Arjuna is now seeing everyone as Sarvan Bandhum, and he's lamenting. So this is a contrast between how Duryodhan reacted when he saw the armies and how Arjuna reacted. So for Duryodhan, it was Sanya Nirikshan. He had material greed, right? The greed for kingdom. But Arjun's reaction is, he is going into Vishad. And the reason is his material bodily attachment for relatives. It is kind of the same material attachment for both, but for Duryodhan, it is greed. For Arjun, it is compassion for his relatives. Okay, so now he's going to describe symptoms, his bodily symptoms. You know how sometimes you're watching a movie and there is this lady who's in the movie bringing out a tray. There are guests, and she's bringing out a tray with glass, maybe cups or glasses of some juice, and she wanted to give to the relatives. And while she's coming out of the kitchen, she hears something very, very shocking or bewildering.
And what happens? Because of what she's heard, right? The Pratyaksha, her hands start to shake and she drops the tray. The tray drops, all the glasses shatter, and then she also collapses, right? Maybe she's unconscious. She faints or even has a heart attack. So we see all these things, even movies might not have seen in real life, but these things do happen. So here we see Arjun is exhibiting bodily symptoms, and these symptoms show what he's feeling inside, his emotions. So there are 5 reasons. Another question which will come for you. So it's important to understand and hear carefully. There are 5 reasons which Arjun will give of not to fight. I don't want to fight this battle, and these are the 5 reasons he will give. The first one starts with the 28th verse. So 28 till the 30th verse is the first reason, and the first reason is compassion. Because he has compassion for his relatives, he does not want to fight. Simple, very easy reason, right? I'm compassionate. I don't want to kill my relatives. That's why I don't want to fight. So let's look at the verse 1.28. Arjuna uvacha drishtve mam swajanam Krishna yuyutsum samupastitan sidanti mama gatrani mukham cha parishushyati. Let's have somebody read the translation, please.
Arjuna said, "My dear Krishna, seeing my friends and relatives present before me in such a fighting spirit, I feel the limbs of my body quivering and my mouth drying up."
So Arjun's whole perception has changed. We saw how in 1.23, if you look back, 1.23, he says, Dhritarashtrasya durbuddhe yuddha priya chikirshava. I want to see who all have come here to please the evil-minded son of Dhritarashtra, right? Which is Duryodhan. And that's why all of these people must be also evil-minded. I want to see who all have come to fight against me, trying to please Duryodhan. So that was his perception that time. But now, after seeing right in front of Krishna has placed the chariot right in front of Bhishma Deva and Dronacharya, Kripacharya. After seeing them, he is totally bewildered. And now, what is he saying? His wordings have changed. He says, Swajanam, these are my people, O Krishna. So suddenly he's compassionate for all of them. He says, these are Trishtve mam Swajanam Krishna. After seeing my own, these are my own people. Yutsum samupastitam. And they are standing here with such fighting spirit against me, wanting to fight against me and kill me. Sidanti mama gatrani, seeing this, what is happening to me? Oh Krishna, my limbs are quivering. And mukham cha parishushyati, my mouth is drying up. So these are his bodily symptoms after seeing his relatives present in such a fighting spirit. It might happen to us also when we are in a fight with our own dear ones, our maybe parents or brother or sister or husband, wife. Because the bond is so strong and we have such love, deep love for them, when we see them in a fighting spirit or saying something not so nice or very rude or behaving in a way which is against that bond of love, of affection, what happens to us, right? All these emotions we go through, which show on the body through tears, or through quivering of the body, we're not able to speak properly. So that is what Arjun is facing right now. He's going through all this experience of compassion, lamentation, all these together. He's seeing his own people, his own grandfather. His grandfather, it is described when he was very little. Arjun used to run. His grandfather, it is said, Bhishma Dev, he used to wear white clothes. So Arjun is playing with all his brothers and friends. He would run when he would see his grandfather sitting. He'd run to him and go sit in his lap. And all his muddy feet are soiling the pure white clothes of Bhishma Dev, but Bhishma Dev has so much love and affection, he doesn't mind, and he's patting his grandson, and Arjun is calling out to his grandfather, father, 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 and Bhishma Dev, so lovingly, he'll tap his hair and, stroke his hair. He would say, I'm not your father, I'm your grandfather. So all these loving emotions that, he had experienced with his grandfather, his teacher, Dronacharya, who was so kind and, affectionate towards Arjun because it was his finest disciple. So seeing them and thinking, how will I be able to fight against them? But yet they are standing here, ready to fight me and kill me. So these emotions of seeing how they are ready to fight, but I have these loving feelings, Arjun is going through all of these bodily symptoms due to his emotional breakdown. So limbs quivering, mouth drying up. This is what he's saying. So compassion for both the parties due to soft-heartedness of a pure devotee. These are qualities or qualifications of a pure devotee. A devotee is always soft-hearted. And because he has this qualification of soft-heartedness, of compassion, of thoughtfulness of the future, what will happen, he's going to say all that. If I fight and all these people are killed, he's thinking about the future also. So all these make him qualified to hear the Bhagavad Gita and absorb the knowledge. By unflinching devotion to Supreme Lord, all good qualities are bestowed to a devotee, and they are even compassionate towards their enemies. These are noble emotions, Prabhupada says. Non-devotee may be advanced by education, culture, but lacks godly qualities. So this is the difference between a devotee and a materialistic person. You might look at a materialistic person who is so successful, he has so much wealth, he has fame, he has beauty, all of these things are there, but they are all shallow, there's no depth in those people. Why? Because godly qualities of being compassionate, loving to all living entities are absent. So let's keep going. So important lesson, we did this before, right? Pratyaksha, he's seeing with his eyes. So one gets knowledge by sensory perception. It's valid, but not necessarily complete or final. And Shabda, one gets knowledge from scriptures. Pratyaksha puts us into illusion, and Shabda takes us out of illusion. And Arjun had come to fight, but then he says, Aveksheham, let me see, right? The over-reliance on Pratyaksha Praman, which makes him overwhelmed with emotions and which further disconnects him from the scriptural roots, and he's put into illusion. So Arjun's credit is when Pratyaksha or sensory knowledge that he's getting from the battlefield, seeing his relatives, it starts dragging him into illusion, but he doesn't immediately act on it. He consults. Right here, Krishna is right there present with him, so he consults with him. In contrast, we see Kekai in Ramayana being poisoned by Mantra's words, which was also Pratyaksha Praman. Although she's hearing from her ears, but they're not scriptural or words coming from Guru or Shastra or Sadhus. That's why they were Pratyaksha Praman. Although she got some knowledge through ears, still it was sensory perception, not scriptural knowledge. She was dragged into illusion. And her error was that she did not consult and immediately acted on it. And here is a lesson that we learn. I'll try to put the lessons that we learn like this with a little star kind of, and in blue. We're living in this world, and so we need to use sensory perception. We need to get knowledge through our eyes, through our, all these senses, ears, and through smell, to all these five senses. And we feel it. If we feel that it is misleading, then we need to consult Guru, Sadhu, Shastra, and get a proper understanding of the situation. Arjun is setting the example for us over here. Let's keep going, 1.29. And more bodily symptoms he's describing. Vepatus cha sharire me roma harshascha jayate gandivam
Shramsate hastat tvakchaiva paridhyate. My whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on end. My bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. So he's getting into more and more lamentation, more stronger and deeper emotions of compassion. He says, my hair is standing on end. Prabhupada says the hair can stand on end due to ecstasy also. But here it's not ecstasy, it is fearful, it's great fear. He's scared of the bloodbath that is going to happen on this battlefield. So, and he's fearful. So what is happening due to that fear? The hair is standing on end, then his Gandiva bow is also slipping. He says, Gandivam Shram Sate Hastat, from my hands, my Gandiva is slipping down. I am not voluntarily making it go down, but it's slipping out of my hand. Earlier, Arjun had taken a vow. If somebody says, put down your Gandiva, you're not qualified to fight, he said, he took a vow that I'll kill that person. But here, he himself, the Gandiva was slipping down from his hands. So, again, he's the first person report of what he's experiencing, he himself. Let's keep going. So for a Kshatriya, right, I was thinking these are very strong emotions. For a Kshatriya, he's supposed to be strong and look fearful and in that fighting spirit. But these are, some opposite emotions that he's feeling. And it shows how his physical faculties are affected by his emotions. So let's keep going. These are the symptoms. 1.30, let's recite it. Nacha shaknomi avastatum brahmati vacha me manah nimittani cha pashyami viparitani keshava. Sorry, this is the verse. This is the translation. I'm now unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself and my mind is reeling. I foresee only evil, O killer of Keshi demon. So, O Keshava, Keshava means the one who killed the demon Keshi. You had killed a demon Keshi, and here you brought me on this battlefield where you are expecting me not to kill demons. These are my own relatives, my own teachers, and my own fathers, and you are expecting me to kill them, O Keshava. So this is how he's addressing Krishna. I'm unable to stand here any longer. I'm forgetting myself. So his mind is let's see the Sanskrit. Shaknomi avastitum. I'm not able to stand here. Brahmativa cha me mana. My mind is reeling. Nimittani cha pashyami. What I'm seeing is opposite results. And viparitani keshava. So nimittani also means inauspicious. So sometimes we feel that there are omens, right? There are signs where we feel that something inauspicious is going to happen. This happens many times, right? Sometimes people say when your left eye is twitching, it is not auspicious, or right? Some things are there where we understand these are omens or auspicious or inauspicious. So here he's saying these are inauspicious omens. What is happening to himself, right? All these bodily symptoms that he's experiencing, he's bringing those out and saying to Krishna that these are inauspicious omens and I see only destruction, and which is not going to be auspicious. So indicative of what? Future dangers or misfortune. So by Krishna's will, Arjun's symptoms are making him forget himself. There's a weakness of mind. He sees only misfortune. He says, nobody will be happy. We will not be happy after winning this war. He's forgetting himself. These are all excessive material attachments, Prabhupada says. See, it's very contrary. Before, Prabhupada was saying that these are qualities of a devotee. And now he's saying these are material attachments. These are, to be given away. But we need to understand that there is no contradiction. Whatever we learn from the Shastras, where we should absorb those teachings and understand how we should not be in certain situations, how we can gather strength from the Shabda Praman, how we can go through the challenges that we face in life. Could be small challenges, just a little small argument with a loved one, or failure in our school or college or our jobs, a great failure. That is what we see in with our material perception, small and great challenges or dangers, but how we can face them while being in that situation and bring strength in those situations and connect with Krishna. This is what Arjuna is making us learn through his experience and through him relating himself what he's going through and how he'll take shelter of Krishna in such a challenging situation. Let's keep going through 3 more verses and then we'll do a small quick activity also today. So 31st verse, Nacha Shreyo Anupashyami Hatva Swajanam Ahave Na Kankshe Vijayam Krishna Nacha Rajyam Sukhani Cha. So we just did the first reason, which was compassion, from 28th to 30th verse, why Arjuna didn't want to fight, due to compassion. Second reason is enjoyment. How will I enjoy when my own relatives are no more present, relatives and friends? Second reason is enjoyment, from 31st to the 35th verse. Arjuna is saying, now, I do not see how any good can come from killing my own kinsmen in this battle, nor can I, my dear Krishna, desire any subsequent victory or kingdom or happiness. So, again, a simple example. We're a student, we're in school, and we won a trophy. What is the excitement? To bring it home and show it to our relatives and friends, right? These days, put a picture on the Facebook or Instagram. Look what happened to me today. So such a nice, auspicious day where I faced victory or I achieved this success. But what if there is nobody? We come home, there's nobody to share it with. We don't have any friends. There is not much happiness there, right? When there is nobody to share it with. So this is what he's thinking of the future. Even if we win all this kingdom, who are we going to show it to when our relatives and friends are not going to be there? So how will I enjoy? This is what Arjuna is saying, the reason he's giving. So our seniors or our acharyas tell that there are plural subordinates serving singular supreme. Here we see how there is a teacher from whom he received knowledge. So many students receiving knowledge from one teacher. So they're serving the teacher, they're following the teacher's rules. And then in a setting of a job where so many employees are listening to one employer, right? And then the employer being happy with them, giving them salary and perks and facilities. Then in a whole country, there is social facilities and there's welfare when the citizens are following the rules of the government. Similarly, there is a supreme person. When we serve the supreme, then we receive eternal happiness. All the souls are part and parcel of Krishna, of the Lord. They can only get nourishment and happiness by service to God. So we'll quickly look at the next 3 verses, 32, 33, 34, 34 verses, which are together, where Arjuna is not ready to fight even in exchange of 3 words. Kim no rajena govinda, kim bhoger jivatena va, yeshamarte kangshitam me. Kangshitam no rajyam bhoga sukhani cha, taime vashishta yutte pranam statva dhanani cha, acharya pitra putras tathaiva cha pitamaha matula swasura potraha shyala sambandinastata etana hantum ichchami Natopi Madhusudana Api Trailokya Rajasya Heto Kimnu Mahikrite Nihatya Dhatrashtranan Na Kapriti Syaj Janardana. O Janardan, of what avail to us are a kingdom, happiness, or even life itself, when all those for whom we may desire them are now arrayed on this battlefield? O Madhusudana. So second address of Krishna, first was Govinda, now is Madhusudana. When teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives are ready to give up their lives and properties and are standing before me, why should I wish to kill them even though they might otherwise kill me? O maintainer of all living entities, I'm not prepared to fight with them even in exchange for the three worlds, let alone this earth. What pleasure will we derive from killing the sons of Dhritarashtra? So now, first let's look at the three names that Arjuna is addressing Krishna with. Govinda, Madhusudana, and Janardana. So Govinda, one who protects or gives pleasure to. Go can mean cow and go can mean senses also. So you are the one who gives pleasure to the senses, but look at what is happening to my senses right now. So please, O Govinda, give some satisfaction to my senses. So this is the first name. Second is Madhusudan, that you have killed the demon Madhu, but I'll be engaged in killing my own Gurujan over here, my own relatives and friends. So you have killed the demon Madhu, but here I'll be engaged in killing the demon. So I don't want to do this. Then Janardana, one who maintains. Ardhan means to maintain. So Jana Ardhan, Jana is living entities. You are the one who maintains the living entities, and here this battle is arranged for me to kill so many people. Oh Janardhan, you please maintain all these relatives. I don't want to kill them. So these three addresses. So Arjuna is thinking more from the point of view of his own enjoyment right now and not the eternal dharma. So how will we enjoy anything material if there are no loved ones with whom we will celebrate this joy with? So what Sanjay had described before when he said that Krishna took the battle, Sanjay had described before that so many people had been arranged on the battlefield for this fight. Fathers, father-in-laws, grandfathers, teachers, all of those grades of people. Now Arjun is himself describing all of these people again. Fathers, teachers, fathers, sons, grandfathers, maternal uncles, fathers-in-law, grandsons, brothers-in-law, and other relatives. So seeing all of them, his situation is that he is directly saying, I don't wish to kill them even if they kill me. So in our next class, we'll start from 136 onwards, where Arjun, the third reason he gives of sinful reactions. If I kill my own relatives, I will get sin. So we'll look at those verses from the next class, and we'll see today's activity. I'll divide you guys in groups of 3 or 4, maybe 4. You have to take a minute and remember an experience where you tried to enjoy something, or you made a plan to do something, but you got the opposite result.